Welcome to the Whips in the Dungeon channel. Tonight we've got a really exciting thing going on that only happens once or twice a year. For those of you that are into whips, especially single-tail whips, it takes a while to make one. There's, I don't know, probably a couple dozen people that are quality platters in the entire world. And so most of them have a waiting list. And so we got a parcel from Peter Jack in Timaru, New Zealand. Been waiting for this whip for a while, but I actually ordered it last year, a year ahead of time. So let's see what he sent us. This is just the consignment note from New Zealand Post. Bullwhip, sample of whip wax, spear poppers, and the price in New Zealand for customs. Then he included an invoice, 4-foot 6-inch 20 plat with shot loading and double plat belly. So actually several copies of the invoice. I usually keep one in my file cabinet if a whip maker sends me an invoice, because it helps identify the whip and creates a little bit of a leather history. And let's see what this is. This is the origin specimen export record in New Zealand and Australia. This type of document has to accompany something made out of kangaroo. This was made, it says it was Eastern gray kangaroo. All right, so without further ado, let's open the package and see what we have. And then I'll do another video where I do a review of it in a little more detail. This is really just an unboxing. I want you to see exactly how Peter ships his whips and cares for them. This is a very special occasion, and hopefully it's going to turn out to be a fabulous whip. Peter's made me over 20 whips. I've kind of lost track. I should sit down sometime and actually lay them all out and count them, but I'm confident he's made me more than 20 builds, and I still have most of those whips. I think I sold my stock whips because I just don't sport crack. I focus on throwing in the dungeon, and you really can't throw stock whips in the dungeon, other than maybe doing wraps. Maybe someone that's thrown stock whips for years could, but not me. I'm more of a bullwhip, snake whip fellow. Occasionally I'll throw a dog signal whip, but I prefer snakes and bullwhips. I'm telling you, it's wrapped well. Maybe a little more tape than what we needed. Certainly don't want to cut the whip. That would be a catastrophe. Okay, we're making progress here. So inside the box, it was wrapped, looks like in a plastic bag in case the shipping box got wet. And some bubble wrap. Got a couple of crackers and a tub of conditioner. That's always nice. And a business card. Peter's brand, he goes by the Whip Man. I don't know if you can see that. Peter started platting when he was 15 years old. So he's been platting 45 years. I saw a picture of this on Facebook before he shipped it out, and someone in the comments had asked him how long it took him to make this whip. And Peter, being the brilliant, intelligent man that he is, said 45 years. Well, it really only takes maybe a week. Every whip maker is different, but most whip makers in a week or less can make a build if they have the time to dedicate to it and focus on it. But this particular whip commemorates Peter's 45th year of plaiting and making whips. And I don't know if you can see it in the light, but he plaited a 45 into the handle. You can see he's got a very nice Turk's head, some bird's eye plaiting, the number 45 coming down to the pineapple knot. Very nice whipmaker's plait or single herringbone on the thong, straight as an arrow all the way to the keeper. And it looks like a Latigo hide fall, which is actually what I prefer over white hide. Red hide is fine. I like red hide, I like Latigo. I prefer not to have white hide because white hide tends to dry out. So, 45 years in the making. This particular bullwhip is his Latigo y Dago build as opposed to his target whip build. And I don't feel any transitions. The plaiting represents 45 years of experience, straight as an arrow, all the way to the keeper. And it rolls straight with the belly. And if it arcs against the belly or against the spine, I guess you'd say, arcing it against the spine. Of course, it's not broken in. This is right out of the box, and it's been coiled for a couple weeks. Got a little bit of a slant when I arc it against the spine. So we'll come back to that as it breaks in. That should straighten itself out. A very, very, very fine whip, and it's 20 plait, and beautiful, beautiful work. So I'm excited, very, very excited. For those of you that will watch my channel, Peter Jack in New Zealand has been plaiting 45 years. There's a few other whip makers that I recommend, but as time passes, more and more of the really good whip makers are aging out or becoming ill, and they're not plaiting anymore. So Peter's very reliable. He's made me 20 builds. He hasn't missed on a single build. I can't say that about too many other whip makers that I've worked with. And he's very honorable when he takes a deposit and starts a build. He always delivers his whip, which in the world of whip making, occasionally you'll find, stuff happens and sometimes whip makers don't meet their commitments, but that is not true of Peter Jack. So I highly recommend his whips. You should check out his website if you haven't already. And thank you so much for watching Whips in the Dungeon.